Started. Sorry, Guruji, I forgot it.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So, translation. The living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, employing the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus, he meets with the good and evil among various species. Purport. This verse is very important for an understanding of how the living entities transmigrate from one body to another. It is explained in the second chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another, just as one changes dress. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Give me a second, I'll just mute these notifications. Yes. Somebody is not while mute him. Yes. This change of dress is due to his attachment to material existence. As long as he is captivated by this false manifestation, he has to continue transmigrating from one body to another. Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. Under the influence of material desire, the entity is born sometimes as demigod, sometimes as a man, sometimes as a beast, as a bird, as a worm, as an aquatic, as a saintly man, as a bug. This is going on. And in all cases, the living entity thinks himself to be the master of his circumstances, yet he is under the influence of material nature. He is put into such different bodies, is explained here. It is due to association with the three modes of material nature. One has to rise, therefore, above the three modes, above the three material modes, and become situated in the transcendental position. This is called Krishna consciousness. Unless one is situated in Krishna consciousness, his material consciousness will oblige him to transfer from one body to another because he has material desires since time immemorial. But he has to change that conception. That change can be effected only by hearing from authoritative sources. The best example here is the best example is here Arjuna. Arjuna is hearing the signs of God from Krishna. The living entity, if he submits to this hearing process, will lose his long cherished desire to dominate material nature, and gradually and proportionately, as he reduces his long desire to dominate, he comes to enjoy spiritual happiness. In a Vedic mantra, it is said that as he becomes learned in association with the personality of with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he proportionately relishes his eternal blissful life. So we'll recite the prayers. Om Agyan Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatambitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Namaha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramanandamanam Sri Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. So welcome back to our discussion of the last 6 chapters of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Yesterday we studied somewhere 13.16 onwards, I think. Yeah. So we have been discussing about the Jnaya and Jnayam yesterday. And then we also started the third section of this particular chapter, that is about the Prakriti and Purusha. So anybody would like to quickly revise any points from yesterday's discussion, purport, any analogies, anything you understood you could like to repeat? Anyone? Yes, Kishore Madhaprabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu, in the 16th chapter, we further describe the contradictions of super soul. In 16th verse, it is said that simultaneously supreme truth is inside and outside also. He is moving, non-moving also. He is very subtle to be seen. He is unknowable, and he is simultaneously far and near also. So all these contradictions we discuss about super soul in 6th.
Okay,
And we
anything
also
in brief?
touched upon personal and impersonal nature about this super. That also we discussed.
Anything you would like to briefly describe, any contradiction, one contradiction, very briefly, couple of lines from the 16th chapter. How he walks and how he doesn't walks, how he moves and doesn't moves simultaneously. Acharam charam evacha. So how is achara and how he chara? Can you explain, Prabhuji? Or
See, the material part of super soul is non-movable, but the Paramatma part, which resides in our heart, is a movable. We feel it closer to us also within our.
what is material part of the super soul?
Bhautik Prakriti.
No, not like that.
Okay.
So Bhautik Prakriti is movable or not?
That
movable?
is non-movable, no?
No, our whole Earth is moving around the sun. I mean, as at least what scientists say is, or so many million planets are floating in the sky. They're moving. They're stationary. Earth is revolving around its own axis. Yes, no. Sun is moving. Sun is moving, or Earth is moving. One of them is definitely moving, right? Whether it is you take geocentric or whatever heliocentric. So, in the material world, you think the things are moving or not moving? They're moving, right?
They're moving.
Yes. And you may say it is a part of the Paramatma, material part. Everything is part of the Krishna only. Whatever you see, material, spiritual, it is all Krishna's energy only. But here we are specifically talking about the absolute truth or the super soul. So how he moves and doesn't move. Somebody was asking, they do not understood it. So can somebody explain how the super soul or the absolute truth moves or does not move simultaneously? Quickly.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Getting my voice pretty clearly.
Yes.
Yesterday we were discussing that contradictory qualities of char and achar, that is moving and non-moving. So Prabhuji gave one devotee gave example that deities don't move normally. You also gave, but the incidence of Sakshi Gopal is very famous that deities move for the devotee, and in impersonal feature he does not move because he is present everywhere. So the example of sun we discussed in the next purport, it is given there. Prabhupada discusses that the presence of sun is present. The presence of sun is everywhere. In that sense, sun is present everywhere. But when we talk about sun globe, it is at some far distance from us. So he is. Sorry, I think I am mixed up.
Okay.
So
Okay. Somebody else would like to try? We spend a lot of time on this. How he moves and how he doesn't move. So one feature of the Paramatma or the absolute truth or of Krishna is his impersonal Brahma Jyoti. If the impersonal Brahma Jyoti is pervading the entire creation, spiritual and material creation, which is there present everywhere. If you read 4.24 purport, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada will write even in the what is called as matter, absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Now you may ask, how can absolute truth be covered by Maya? So what is the answer? How can the sun be covered by the cloud? What is the answer? Can sun be covered by the cloud?
Hare
Yes or
Krishna.
no? Yes.
Sun and the clouds cannot cover sun, but it covers the vision, our vision of the sun.
Correct, correct. Sun is very, very big, millions of times of bigger than the cloud, each individual cloud. But it because it is nearer to us, the cloud, smaller cloud, it blocks our vision. So similarly, absolute truth cannot be covered by Maya, but because we are conditioned, the absolute nature of these things will not be revealed to us. But when we use things in the service of Krishna, then that becomes spiritual. It regains its spiritual quality. Prabhupada says in that purport. Like Prabhupada gives the example of mic. Mic is material or spiritual? Mic is material only. But when I use that mic in the service of Krishna consciousness or in service of Krishna, that mic becomes, it doesn't remain material, it becomes spiritual. Okay. So I'm saying, I was explaining how can the matter, okay, see here. The absolute truth covered by Maya. I'm reading 4.24 Bhagavad Gita purport. Okay, the only one paragraph, big paragraph is there. So last towards the end, the absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter, dovetail for the cause of absolute truth, regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman or the Supreme. Okay, so the point we were trying to make is, why did we bring this discussion up? What was the point we were discussing before this? I lost track.
We are trying to find an example.
Impersonal feature is all.
Impersonal feature.
Yes. So the Brahman, absolute, the Brahman is present everywhere in the material world, in the spiritual world. When that Brahman is covered by matter for us, by Maya, then it is called as matter. That was the point I was trying to make. So when the Brahman is present everywhere, does it have to walk from one place to another? When I'm not present in the temple, I'm sitting in my home, then I have to walk from my home to the temple. Correct? But if I am present, let's say, I mean, not me, but let's say something is present in the temple, in the home, in the outside, in the Pune, whole universe, Brahmanda, spiritual, material world, where it has to walk? Does he has to walk anywhere? He's present everywhere. He does not need to walk anywhere. So in that sense, absolute truth does not walk in his impersonal feature or in his Brahman feature. And he walks means we know Krishna performs so many pastimes in his personal features. So that we say, absolute truth walks. So this way, he is achara, non-moving, and his chara, he's moving also. So is this point clear now, at least? Anybody else, any other point from yesterday's discussion? Okay, maybe, yes, Prasanna Gopal.
Yeah, 17 text in that it is mentioned that Lord is divided and never divided also simultaneously. So the example was
No, it is not like that. It is not. It appears to be divided, although it is one. Yeah, it is not, it is divided or undivided. It appears to be divided, although it is only one. Yes, please tell.
And in purport, the example is given of the sun, and the sun is like sun rays looks like a divided, but it is looking like a divided, but sun itself remains as a whole. It's never gets divided.
This is not the example quoted by Prabhupada or any other acharyas. I have not read this anywhere. I quoted another example from Bhagavatam purport about the same sun being, situated as divided. Who can explain that? Yes, Arun Prabhu.
As far as I remember, I made notes. There I have written some Pratibhimbavad, like Mayavadis give example, but Prabhupada used that if you keep different pots and then sun appears, that the sun is present in every pot. So it appears that the sun is present in every pot. The sun is present in every pot, but um, the sun is only one. So it is just a manifestation that he seems to be divided. But Maya, then you told that then Prabhupada gave this example, and then Prabhupada, then you were giving that Mayavadis say that when you break this pot, then it become, they say that it become one, that is Brahman. That when we die, we become one with Brahman. And another
Okay,
example,
fine.
the sky inside the pot and outside the pot. When the pot is broken, it becomes one only. Something like that.
Yes, so our point correct. You correctly mentioned about this appears to be divided sun, but although it is one. And additionally, this is the point of Mayavad, where they give two theories, Pratibhimbavad and Parichedavad. Parichhed means it is broken now. The Patakash and Ghatakash, the outside the pot, the space is there, and inside the pot, if you take a mud pot, there is also space. But if you break the pot, the space outside and inside becomes one. So it appears very brilliant analogy, but it's actually wrong. And because that's one thing about the Parichedavad, and Pratibhimbavad means the same Supreme Brahman, absolute truth. It appears to be when it is reflected in avidya potency, it is called as Jiva. And when it is reflected in the Vidya potency, it is called as the avatar. So this is the way they talk about the absolute truth covered by Maya, or absolute truth gets, reflected, and it gets divided. And this is not our philosophy. Simple refutation without going into the details. Prabhupada says, even in the Ishopanishad, you must have studied, that if you say absolute truth gets influenced by Maya in any way, it gets either divided or whatever way, then who becomes greater, Maya or the absolute truth? Maya becomes greater. So how they can answer this particular question? They cannot answer. And then further, Jiva Goswami and Acharyas, they very, in great technical details, refute this particular philosophy of Parichedavad and Paribimbavad. Okay. So that was a side point. Although, yes, anybody else? Any other point? Yes, Arun Prabhuji.
Yeah, in the same 13.17, we saw also maintainer and doer, another contradictory quality of Lord Krishna. And then we saw as an example that different verses from Bhagavata and other sources, Nityo Nityanam, Chetanam, Eko Bhuvnam Yo Vidudati Kama. He is one and we are different. And then when Mahavishnu glances over Pradhan, so he is creating in one sense. And Krishna says, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya, that I am the father of all living entities. So here in this, it seems that he is maintainer. But then he says, Kalosmi. And another example you gave from Bhagavatam, that Narad Muni tells to Yudhishthir Maharaj that you yourself are in the clause of material nature, then how will you protect your uncle Dhritarashtra?
Correct.
So that by that we saw the qualities of that Krishna is devourer also. And then further going to 13.18, there I think Krishna was concluding, no, Jnanam and Gayam. So we saw that Jnanam, Gayam and Jnana Gamyam, these three terms. So this Arjun did not ask anything about Jnana Gamyam, that the goal of knowledge, but Krishna himself tells Jnana Gamyam that where to reach. And Krishna himself said that all three, Jnana, Gayam and Jnana all three are represented by Krishna. And then we discussed that the Jnana Gamyam, different devotees told, Sarvadharman Parityajya Manmanama Madbhaktyo. So like this, Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart and we have to become devotee of Krishna. That is Jnana Gamyam.
Okay, one second. Just hold on. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. You said very nicely everything you have covered. Your notes are also very nice, I think so. Yamuna Vilas Prabhu, are you clear? You asked a query. I think I didn't get a time to answer you on WhatsApp and write all those things.
Yes, Prabhuji. So my question
Can you
was
please-
about, yeah. So the question which I asked was, what is the difference between object of knowledge and goal of knowledge?
Yes.
Gneyam and Jnanagamyam. So I thought it is same. So,
No, when we talk about now in this particular verse, it is same. In fact, because Krishna is only Jnanam, Krishna only is Gneyam, and Krishna only is Jnanagamyam. But in general, the difference between the Gneyam and Jnanagamyam is, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains our whole Vedic philosophy in three terms, Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Correct? SAP, we say. So some sambandha is there, abhidya process you have to follow, and then you have to achieve the goal of following that particular process, correct? So Krishna Prem is our provision. So similarly, there is an object of knowledge. Bhagavad Gita I want to study. There are 5 topics or different yogas have been explained in Bhagavad Gita. So that's a Jnanam. Object of knowledge is Bhagavad Gita. And by studying Bhagavad Gita, what you want to achieve, where you want to reach. So Krishna Prem or Krishna's abode, back home, back to Godhead, becoming a pure devotee, becoming a better devotee. That is the goal of studying Bhagavad Gita. So that is the difference between achieving the goal and the object of that particular knowledge, and achieving by gaining that knowledge what we have to achieve. That's the way we are talking. So is this clear or not yet?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's clear.
Yeah, okay, fine. Like another devotee gave an example. There is a patient and there's a doctor. Okay. So the doctors are studying so many parameters of the patient, right? That is called as Jnanam. Let's say blood pressure and this and that, sugar, and so many parameters they monitor on the screen. So there's a various items of knowledge for the patient. What is the patient? The patient is the object of knowledge for that particular doctor. He's studying that patient, correct? And what is the ultimate goal of studying the patient and monitoring different parameters? To cure the patient, is it not? To cure the patient. So that is the way, the difference between the object and the goal. Is this okay?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, any point you would like to mention from yesterday's discussion other than Jnanam, Jnayam, Jnanagamya? Any other thing?
Prabhuji, we also discussed that that the goal of Bhagavad Gita is that we should aspire to become a pure devotee of the Lord.
Correct.
So in that verse, we discussed that point.
Yeah, correct. So then later on, we started with the last third section of this particular chapter, that is the Prakriti and Purusha. So we discussed a very important point. Yes, Priyanamata, you want to say something?
Regarding 13.19, Prabhuji?
No, any other point from yesterday's discussion?
How soul is anadi. Anadi, that is, we cannot predict when the soul came into existence. So, like sun and sun rays are simultaneously manifested. Similarly, God and living entities are simultaneously exhibited. Then, how soul is eternal, we can't trace when the soul has got the material body. Therefore, the soul is eternal. And is like pradhana, what the situation of soul. You gave that example of khichdi. Like preparing khichdi, we get all the ingredients, but the khichdi is prepared only when the fire is ignited. So also you gave that example of drowning of sheep, that you are in ocean and someone.
Why was that example? What does it highlights, that particular example?
That example.
Anybody else? It's a very important point. Anybody else would like to say what was that example? Srila Prabhupada, he gives that example. So what is the point other than, yes, Yamuna Vilas Prabhuji. 1 second. Yamuna Vilas Prabhuji.
So the Srila Prabhupada was mentioning a point in the purport that we should not think about, how we came in contact with material nature or how we came to material world. Rather than we should focus on how we should get back from this material world.
Correct. So because now we are talking about the union of the Prakriti and Purusha. Purusha means the imitating Purusha or the enjoyer. Whether it is if somebody is a man or woman in this world, everybody is trying to enjoy, right? So that's called as imitating Purusha. Real Purusha is Supreme Lord only. So since when the Prakriti and Purusha, they have entangled in each other, or they have come together each other. Both of them, they are anadi. Both of them are eternal. So it is very difficult for us to trace since when their union actually started. Therefore, because he is anadi, both of them, they are eternal. So therefore, sometimes there is a long debate about, how the jiva falls. The fall of jiva is a word. And if you check the folio also, Veda base, there is 123 or 24 number item is there in the index, where there is a GBC has clarified about this fall of jiva things. If you want to clarify more things from there, you can actually study that. So fall of jiva is very, very hot topic sometimes among devotees, but those, we should not generally get into that, because it is not important to know from when we came or how we came. What is more important, Prabhupada says, is that how to get out of this. More important than the person who has, fallen from the ship, after the ship is broken. The more important, he should be saved. Somehow he should be saved. It does not matter how you fall into the sea and what happened first, second, etc. like that. Okay. So that was the point. Fine. So I think so it is a lot of time we are spending again. So we will go further. In the 21st verse, we studied that, there are two instrumental causes. The karya karana kartutve hetur prakriti ruchyate. The prakriti or the material nature is the cause of the various bodies which we get. And purusha sukha dukkhanam bhoktrutve hetur ruchyate means the purusha or the soul who's trying to enjoy here, his instrumental cause of his own happiness and distress. Like that. This is what is being explained there. Bhoktrutve, that enjoying propensity is there. The same enjoying propensity has been explained in today's verse also, which is a bija vakya or the bij verse for all the entire remaining 5 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Purusha prakrutisto hi bhungte prakriti janguna. He is trying to bhungte. Bhungte means what? He is trying to enjoy through the 3 modes of material natures. So he is being situated in the prakriti among the 3 modes. He is trying to enjoy. And karanam guna sangasya, because of his association with the 3 modes, sad asad yoni janmasu. He takes birth among the lower and higher species of life. And different enjoyments. The enjoyment is different for a hog, in a hog's body. For the same soul, the enjoyment is different in the devata body or human body and so many other bodies also. So like that, this is being stated. So this is a very, very important verse philosophically, because it leads to all the rest of the other chapters also, where I explain that chapter number 14, Krishna will speak more elaborately about these 3 modes. Chapter number 15, how these 3 modes actually water the root of this banyan tree, which is compared to the material world, which is upside down, the reflection of the real world or spiritual world. And then the different branches are like the demoniac and divine species. How the jiva transmigrates from one body to another. It goes from the lower branches of the tree to the higher branches. So these different branches represent the different species of life in this material world. And then 17th chapter, again, the various faith in the 3 modes, the worship in the 3 modes, the food in the 3 modes, etc., etc., the austerity in the 3 modes, the charity in the 3 modes. Again, taking base of these 3 modes, Krishna will explain chapter number 17 also. So like that, this is the Bija Vakya for all the remaining chapters. And this is the point here. Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhungte. That Bhungte means enjoying propensity. So this enjoying propensity is very, very deep rooted in us, all the conditioned souls, because we have been doing this since time immemorial. Like that. Even after becoming devotee, that propensity is there in us and it continues. So Prabhupada says here what? Due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is put into such undesirable circumstances. It is explained in the 2nd chapter that the living entity is transmigrating from one body to another just as one changes the dress. Where it is mentioned in the 2nd chapter?
Vasan se jirna nahi tha abhi
Correct. Yes. Vasam chi jirna nahi tha. Just like we change dress, the soul is changing the dress, means soul is changing the various bodies. Like that. Yes. Okay. So what I was trying to say. So this is the problem, trying to enjoy or exploit the material nature here. Even if you see 7.5, 7.4, 5, 6, that series in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will explain that this is para prakriti, this is apara prakriti. Apareyam itastwanyat prakriti viddhime param jiva bhuto mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. Yayedam dharyate jagat means this para prakriti, the soul, the individual souls, they are trying to enjoy the matter here. Although it is incompatible, the material enjoyment and the spirit soul. The spirit soul can never be happy by trying to enjoy the matter. It is incompatible as oil and water. They cannot be mixed, but still is trying in his futile attempt, trying to become a Purusha, imitating Purusha. He can never be successful in his attempt. He can be successful only when he tries to do devotional service or tries to serve devotees and Krishna in the spiritual world, in the spiritual consciousness, he can be happy. Okay. So he doesn't knowing this, now he's suffering here. So what is the solution? This is the half side. This is the problem. So Prabhupada gives in the purport, second paragraph, the cause of the suffering is trying to enjoy association of the three modes. And what is the solution? So solution, one has to rise therefore above the three material modes and become situated in the transcendental position. That is called Krishna consciousness. So the same thing has been explained. Krishna consciousness is the only solution. The same thing about the Kshetra, Kshetrajna. Kshetra is the body and Kshetrajna is the soul and individual soul and the super soul. Correct? Then the Jnanam is about the process we said, and Jnayam again the individual soul and the super soul. Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha is the individual soul and Prakriti is the material nature, which is also Kshetra, in the material body, which is made up of the different elements, 24 elements. So same things is being discussed, but from various angles, so that we get an all-round understanding. And then Srila Prabhupada further mentions that he has to change that conception. Which conception? That I am the enjoyer. I can enjoy away from Krishna, or keeping Krishna aside, I can enjoy. That conception, which is very deep rooted in us, even after coming to devotional service, that we have to change. And that change can be effected only by hearing from the authoritative sources. And the example is of the Arjuna. So this is loosely paraphrasing. If you read Bhagavatam 1.2.16, 17 onwards, 4-5 verses there. Srila Prabhupada mentions those verses. They were so dear to Srila Prabhupada that in his Bhajan Markine Bhagavad Dharma, he has mentioned how we can make progress in this spiritual life from the Adau Shraddha to Krishna Prem. So the verses starting from Shrunavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Rudayantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surat Satam. So Anartha Nivritti, Bhajana Kriya, all those things, Bhava Prema, everything, those 9 stages in progress in devotional service mentioned in NOD, they are mentioned in those verses of Bhagavatam. And those actually, that is being paraphrased here, that we have to start from Shraddha and start from hearing Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna. And then we can progress. And then we can get out of this entanglement of this particular Purusha and Prakriti entanglement. This association with the three modes, he can be saved from this. And it will be also discussed in the 14th chapter about the solution, that what are the three modes, how they influence us, how they actually affect all our lives, our death, etc., our destination after death, and then how to get out of these clutches of these three modes of material nature. Mamchayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati tetyan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So only by doing avyabhichari bhakti, without distraction, without deviation, on constantly, daily basis, slowly, now the devotional service is not, it's our part-time business, right? Our main business is, our job, our business, our family, and that's correct, maybe as per our stage now. But ultimately, at one point of time in our life, we have to come to a point where it becomes our main business. It becomes our constant business. Now, maybe we are young, married, we have small children, or we are about to get married or whatever. But ultimately, at one stage of life, as I said, Prabhupada mentions in 1539 that everyone should plan their life in such a way that last 15 to 20 years, we are fully dedicated for achieving the perfection. Okay, fine. So, where we have to go now next. So there are certain quotations, but I think so again we're falling short of time. So we'll go to the next verse. Now the Paramatma, its functions have been clarified here. We have been discussing earlier in the Jnayam, the super soul and its various attributes. Now Krishna talks about, no, we are talking about Purusha and Prakriti. They are coming together, they're entangling. But what is the role of Paramatma? We spoke about the role of Prakriti. It is giving various dresses in the form of various species of life, dog's body, hawk's body, devata's body, etc. And the soul is responsible for his own sukha and dukkha. What is the role of Paramatma in that case? So Paramatma has been clarified in the next verse, 13.23. Upadrushta anumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatma iti chapi yukto dehasmin purushapara. So please read. Kishore Madhav Prabhuji, please read the translation, 23rd verse.
Yes, Prabhu, 1 minute. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as Super Soul. Purport
Okay.
also?
No, it's okay. We don't have time now. So Srila Prabhupada is, writing there, third line from the purport. Monist philosophers take note of the body, that is Kshetrajna we're talking about, he's talking about, to be one. They think that there is no difference between the super soul and the individual souls. This is the point we have been highlighting since the beginning of this particular chapter, since 13.2. So that is why, our Acharya Srila Prabhupada, they again and again, they highlight the difference between the individual soul and the super soul. And here, super soul's functions have been mentioned. What are those? Upadrushta. What is Upadrushta means? He is the overseer. He is actually watching, just like this analogy in the Upanishad. This body is compared to a tree, and there are two birds there sitting on the tree. One is Atma and second is Paramatma. The Atma is engrossed in eating the various fruits of the tree. Sometimes the fruits are bitter, sometimes they are sweet, etc. But the other bird is not at all eating the fruits. It's just watching. That is called as Upadrushta. He's just waiting. When this bird who's engrossed in eating the fruits, the karma phala, when he will turn to me and he will try to hear what I have to tell him. So like that. So Upadrushta, overseer. Anumanta. Anumanta means permitter, the given who gives anumati or the permission, correct? So sometimes somebody may ask you, oh, there are so many criminals, right? Somebody's murdering, somebody's raping, this and that. So Super Soul is giving permission to that. Is he giving permission or no? For performing criminal activity, terrorist activities. So many wars are going on. So Upadrushta Anumanta. So Paramatma gives permission for putting a nuclear bomb, yes or no? For doing criminal activities, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now the real case started now in the courtroom. The Paramatma is giving permission. Okay. So how do you understand this? Somebody will ask you, Krishna is giving permission. There was a case in the 1950s or 60s in Bombay. There was a very notorious murder case. What was happening? The poor people, they were sleeping on the footpath. They were getting murdered. How? By somebody was hitting stones, big stones in their head, directly in the head. And they were dying actually. So after that, after a lot of efforts, they captured one fellow. I forgot his name. So he was put into the courtroom, and then he was questioned. Why you were doing this? Why you were killing poor people, and also in such a cruel manner? What he said, in the court, he said, the Paramatma is inspiring. God is inspiring me, or God is, telling me, etc. So of course that argument was not withhold. He was psychic person. But now if somebody asks you why God is giving permission to do such heinous activities as rape, murder, terrorist activities, what will be your answer? Please raise your hands. Otherwise, I will take names and ask you. Yes, Madhav Harinam Prabhu, you should answer last. Prasanna Gopal Prabhu.
Yeah, Lord has given everyone the free will, and based on that free will, every living entity desires, and as per the Lord whatever is desired, and based on his deserving, he just permits.
Okay, Prabhu, but Lord should not allow somebody to murder and rape, na? It is
Yeah,
so cruel.
he gives guidance, or he gives some signs that not to do, but the living entity is adamant to do that. So
Okay.
when he is adamant, then Lord allows, and he has to face that consequences of that activity.
Okay. Somebody else raised the hand earlier. Anybody else would like to try? Yes, Prerna Mataji.
Prabhuji, this human life is meant for purification. So by committing such act, if any way or other we are getting purified. Of course, that is not the way, but that may be the statement.
So by
For,
okay,
for
by
puri-
murdering something, I'm getting
no,
purified.
no, 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 no. Krishna wants that you will get a lesson. I will teach you a lesson. You will get purified, then you will come to me.
Okay, okay.
But
See,
by murdering someone,
yeah, okay. In the first verse of Nectar of Instruction, Prabhupada starts with this, four kinds of levels of people. There are some people, because there's been talked about Prayaschitta. So Prayaschitta gives example. Somebody's the most intelligent person, he hears and we should not steal, he will not steal. Another person, he's seeing that somebody has stolen, criminal, he's been caught, he's been punished, then he learns from that. Third person, even after seeing, hearing, he will not listen. He will commit whatever the criminal activity, he'll be caught by police, he will be beaten, then he will understand by experience. That's the third level. Fourth level person, rascal, Prabhupada says, he will say, next time I will do it in such a way that I will not get caught only. That is his planning. Okay, so that's our glory, conditioned soul. Nagna Jiti Mataji, yes, about permission.
Yes, Prabhuji. Uh, uh, God he gives us a consciousness as to what is right and wrong, but at the same time, he gives us the free will. And our mind is such, we have two kinds, like as it is mentioned in the journey home, a good dog or a bad dog. So whom do we listen to is what we will act as. So it is not what God is telling that you do the bad. There are both of them. The more we feed the evil mind, the more we'll do evil things. And accordingly, we'll get the karma for it. But it is not the sanction of the Lord. It is the misuse of our free will.
Okay, so you are saying there's no sanction of the Lord or what? There is a sanction or no?
He gives us a intelligence to discriminate between good and bad, and the further what we do is our free will, and accordingly we get karma. So
No,
it is
our
he's
part
like
is
a
very
judge.
clear. Yes,
He
our
is
part is
he's
very clear. But the main question is about why should Lord should give permission? That is the point. You are saying correctly, absolutely correct.
He is not giving permission. He only tells us what is good and bad.
Oh,
What
no.
we do is
We are
upon
talking
us.
here, Upadrushta Anumanta. Anumanta means what?
Oh, the
Anumanta.
permitter in this case.
Yes, we are talking about that. You are saying correctly your points. Absolutely right. Kishore Madhav Prabhuji.
Prabhu, because of influence of material mode like Prakriti Kriya Manane Guna Karma Vibhagasha, we are not the doer. We are actually influenced by the Prakriti mode of nature, and that is why we are committed for doing sinful reaction.
Okay, so tomorrow I commit a crime and they go to the court. Sir, I have not committed those three modes. Catch them if you can. They are the ones influencing me and they are the one making me commit this crime. So please catch them if you can. Like that, I can say my argument. Okay, very good point. Yamuna Vilas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So the point is, Lord gives us, Lord sanctions our desire, so that means basically the Lord loves us. So the example is of the prodigal son. Although that I don't know how many of you have heard about that story. So here the father, out of love, he sanctions our desires, so that eventually when we go through it, we'll receive some karma and consequences, and we'll suffer, and we realize that we did a mistake. But he, as a Paramatma, he is also giving us some signals that we are in a wrong path. But still, because we are adamant, we go into that path. So it's basically the point I want to make is, the one cannot love other if one doesn't give a free will.
Okay, but we are talking about Anumanta, permitter. What about that? You mentioned correctly everything. He
So yeah,
should
he's
not give
permitting.
permission, na? He should
He's
not say.
permitting. Yeah, he's permitting because we are desiring. So
He's permitting because we are designing. Okay, fine. Thank you. Arun Jaiswal, last.
Hare Krishna Guru. So yes, in one sentence, yes, he gives the permission even to do such activities also. Chaitanya Chandra explains this that of course, like he had a free will, and as per the karma of the sufferer and the one who has committed the crime, Krishna had brought them together, and the crime was committed. But at practical level, then one has to take steps. Like it's not that we cannot say that in hospital we cannot go to the victim and say, oh, it was your karma, therefore you were being killed or raped. We can't say like that. But as an understanding, because spiritual understanding gives us the solution to tolerate that situation. So that we can have, but we cannot give that solution to the one who has suffered. And for that, we should have to go to police and take the best steps to cure that particular whatever the situation has happened. One must go to the hospital.
If everything is according to karma, then what is the role of Paramatma? Why he has to give permission? Let it happen automatically on the basis of karma. Let that somebody break somebody's head, Why he not give permission also in that case? Because it's happening as part of the karma. So why he
So
has to get involved and give permission?
when someone is desiring, he may desire as per his experiences or the desire whatever he is getting, but uh, then the Paramatma is bringing them together and giving permission whether it should whether his will be fulfilled or not.
Okay, fine. Yes, Madhav Harinam, you want to say anything last? Or everything is being covered? Anything different you want to say?
All points covered, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. Yes. So all of you actually correctly answered. The only point I'll just want to highlight is just like the parents. Parents, they know the mobile use is not good, right? And the child is asking, give me mobile, give me mobile. A small child, maybe I want to play video game or whatever. The parent says, no. The child is so adamant, he knows so bad, mommy, please give me. Le, mar. They'll say, very little, le or mar, go to hell, do whatever you want, take this, go away from here, like this. Very reluctantly, the mother or the father may give permission. Similarly, the Krishna is actually saying, don't. Many of you mentioned this point about the, what it is called, conscience. When you do something bad, right? You shout on something, you do something wrong. You have a feeling from within. That is the conscience, I think so it is called as conscience. So that mechanism is also given by the God to us, that we know, oh, it is not correct. Many of the criminals, when they commit the crime, they may not feel. When they're being trialed, they may laugh or whatever, but when they're actually being hanged, they realize that they start crying, so and so many things starts happening with them. So they realize. So that conscience is given by God, that mechanism is given by the God, that we realize it is wrong. But because we are adamant, as most of you said, we are adamant, and he is given us a free will. Free will means to do good things and to do bad things also. Love cannot be forced. So the free will is given. So free will can be misused also. So that is up to us. His permission is reluctant permission. He is not giving willingly. He is telling us everything in the scriptures, but through his devotees, through the acharyas, he comes himself, gives the examples. So what is right, what is wrong, what is to be done, how to get rid of this, everything has been told to us, but now he's giving reluctantly that particular permission. And he says, you do it at your own cost. You want to do this. Yes, I want to murder. Do it at your own cost. So we're responsible for that. So reluctant permission, that is the point I was looking for. That's how it is there. Okay, fine. Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwara. Bharta means actually the master. Bhokta, he is the supreme enjoyer. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. So that Maheshwar is there again. Paramatma iti chapi yukto. This is a slap on the face of the Mayavadis or the impersonalists. It has been clearly mentioned. It is not one. Paramatma iti chapi yukto dehe asmin purusha para. So kshetrajnam cha api mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. So Paramatma is called, and in this dehe asmin purusha para, there is a superior purusha, there is a real purusha, there is a transcendental purusha or transcendental enjoyer. So the difference between the Atma and Paramatma is being highlighted in this particular verse, and the what is that? The functions of Paramatma, they have been also told here. Okay. And Srila Prabhupada, I think on this second paragraph, he focuses on the role of Paramatma and how he is actually, the Lord is always eager to take him back to spiritual energy, but due to his minute independence, the living entity is continually rejecting the association of this spiritual light. In 1.2.17, if you read, Prabhupada writes a sentence in the purport that verse na Shrunvatam Swakatha Krishna, that the Lord is more eager than us to take us back home, back to Godhead. Maybe we are not eager. Some of the living entities, they are not even desiring to go back home, back to Godhead. But Krishna is more eager to bring us back home, back to Godhead. So therefore, he's called as Surudham Sarva Bhutanam. Surudham means what? He is the ever well-wisher. Whether I'm a dog's body, hog's body, Prabhupada explains, Krishna has no business to come along with me when I take a hog's body and I'm eating stool. He's standing. Imagine you're standing next to someone who's eating stool. How obnoxious. How will you feel? But Krishna is there accompanying us all the time, whether I'm hog's body, dog's body, because he is my ever well-wisher. Srila Prabhupada used to sign this way. You are ever well-wisher. This is coming from Surudam Sarva Bhutatma. So that's the role of Paramatma. He's so concerned with us, and he's actually trying to be always help us, no matter whether we have turned our back to him, we call him impersonal, we call him there is no God, God is dead or whatever, but still he's Bharta Bhokta, he's actually maintaining us and he's actually desiring good for us all the time. Okay, the Lord therefore is always giving instructions from within and from without. Okay. From without, he gives instruction as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material field are not conducive to real happiness. Just give it up, and turn your fate toward me. Then you will be happy. He says, thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in Paramatma or the Supreme Personality of Godhead begins to advance towards a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Okay. Maybe we'll take one more verse before we break. Text 24. Sa evam vetti purusham prakrutim cha gunai sah sarvatha vartamanopi nasa bhuyo abhijayate. Please read. Prasanna Gopal Prabhu. Translation.
Translation. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Okay. So, what is the result of this particular knowledge that is being explained here? Sa evam vetti purusham. So, that living entity, who's trying to become Purusha here, trying to become enjoyer separately, he will understand, he will come to know Prakrutim cha gunesa, understanding the material nature, the three modes. Sarvatha vartamanopi, whatever may be his condition, present condition. Nasabhuyo abhijayate. So he will not take birth again, abhijayate. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. Okay, so that's been explained. Just read the purport, small purport, Prabhuji. Prasanna Gopal Prabhu.
Purport. A clear understanding of the material nature, the super soul, the individual soul, and their interrelations makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to the material nature. This is the result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence by his personal endeavor in association with the authorities, saintly persons, and the spiritual master. He has to understand his position and then revert to the spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by the personality of Godhead. Then it is a concern that he will never come again into this material existence. He will be transferred into the spiritual world for blissful eternal life of knowledge.
So therefore, it is very important. We should understand these three things very, very clearly. We should not mix them. Although they appear to be mixing in the same body, there is Atma, there is material nature. Maximum people, the people of the world, they will not think they are the spiritual. They think they this body only. So that's the first distinction we have to say. And the impersonal is what they are trying to do. They are trying to say Atma and Paramatma, they are actually one only. Like that. So that's another mistake. So therefore, we have to understand this by knowledge, such kind of analysis, the advice given by the Lord, that there are three things: the Purusha, Prakriti, and the Supreme Lord. These three things are distinct, and one should not commit a mistake of considering one for the another. So anybody who understands like this, by personal endeavor, by the mercy of the Guru, Krishna, and the devotees' association, then he can transcend his position and get out of the clutches of the material nature of the three modes. Like that. Okay, fine. So we'll take a short break here and come back at 12:35 sharp. Okay. Any questions or any comments on what we studied so far? No? Okay, we'll come back and we'll continue. Hare Krishna. Okay. So where were we? So the last section now, after Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, and Jnayam, now the Jnana Chakshu. The person who is in this knowledge, equipped with this particular knowledge, how he sees the things and he attains the supreme goal, that will be described here. Text 27. Yavat sanjayate kinchit Sattvam sthavar jangamam kshetra kshetrajna samyogam tadvidhi bharatarshava. Please read 27 text. Anuradha Mataji, can you read? You have network issue? Or?
Yeah. Hare
Yes.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, yes. Please read translation. 27 text.
O chief of the Bharata, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. You can read the small purport also directly. It's very straightforward. Nothing much to discuss here.
Both material nature and the living entity, which were existing before the creation of the cosmos, are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of the living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountains, and hills, which are not moving, and there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combinations of material nature and the superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between matter and nature is eternally going on, and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is the controller of both the supreme, superior, and inferior nature. The material nature is created by him, and the superior nature is placed in this material nature, and thus all these activities and manifestations take place. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So, yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sthavara janganam. Whatever is it is not moving, sthavara, and jangama means that is moving. Moving, non-moving, everything it is there. It is made up of only these two things only. The field of activities, kshetra and kshetrajna sanyogam. It is made up of a combination of these things only. Anything you see, it is apart from these 24 elements and the spirit. We cannot see anything beyond these two elements. So that's being stated here. Okay, fine. Next, text 28. Any questions or comments? Please raise your hands if you have to ask anything or clarify anything. Text 28. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashatva avinashatam yapashyati sapashyati. Please read Harsh Prasannatma Prabhuji.
One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed. Actually, see.
Okay, fine. So there is one word that is being used here. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwara. So parameshwara word here, Srila Prabhupada explains. Parameshwara means that generally we say Parameshwara is super soul, right? But Parama Ishwara. Ishwara is the controller and Parameshwara means the soul. Here this Parameshwara word is here used for denoting individual soul and not to the super soul. That is the point I'm making. And Srila Prabhupada will explain that. So this is why we need acharyas. We cannot just do it ourselves. So in the next chapter, it will come philosophical speculation, mental speculation, that discussion we'll have. But the point is, Parameshwar here is used for the individual soul. Some acharyas, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakuri, used Parameshwar for Parameshwar only. So what is the point here? The point is, Vinashatva Avinashatyam. Even after destruction of this body, Parameshwar is not destroyed. Either the individual soul is not destroyed, or even the super soul is not destroyed. That is the point. One who sees like this, ya pashyati sa pashyati. That person who's equipped with all the knowledge about and the distinction between the soul, super soul, and the prakriti, he sees that even after destruction of the body, the soul is not destroyed. Okay. Please read the purport also.
Yes, Prabhuji. Anyone who, by good association, can see three things combined together: the body, the proprietor of the body, or individual soul, and the friend of the individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the super soul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parmeshwar is sometimes translated as the individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is master. But there are others who interpret this Parmeshwar to be the super soul. In either case, both the super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening.
So now, Madhav Harinam Prabhu, we are discussing about the person who's having this kind of knowledge and his vision, how he's seeing things, that is being actually described. Okay. So any example, people, a famous example in Prabhupada's Lilamrit or pastimes or books, where somebody says, when the body is destroyed, everything is destroyed. Prabhupada gives the example of that Professor Kotowski, right? He was also a big professor, in that particular department of philosophy or whatever. He is having this notion that, when the body is finished, everything is finished. Some of the faiths, they think that, when the child is born, new soul is born, correct? And it remains forever after that. So many kinds of people, they're having so many understandings and these things, but that is not according to the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So one who sees like this, he is actually the real seer. In fact, if you see in Bhagavatam, when Sukadeva Goswami starts speaking in the second canto, he gives another verse where similar words are coming. Ya pashyati sa pashyati. There it is said, Deha patra kalatradeshu atma sainyeshu asatsupi tesham pramatto nidhanam pashyan api na pashyati. What about the ignorant soul? This is about the Jnani who understands, who is equipped with knowledge. Somebody who's ignorant, right? What do they see? Even after seeing, they don't see. Means, he says, Deha, Apatya, Kalatra, Adishu. Deha means the body. Apatya means the children. Kalatra means the wife or husband, like that. So, Adi, all these are Asat Swapi. They are actually fallible soldiers. They cannot save us from death, neither we can save them from death. But Tesham Pramatto Nidhanam, one who is attached materially, right? What happens to him? Pashyan apina pashyati. He is seeing, actually, my grandfather is gone, my father is gone, so many relatives gone, so many devotees gone, this, that. But still after that also he thinks, I will somehow continue. So he's not able to see this is a temporary life. What is the goal of life? What is to be achieved in this? He will not see. He will continue his life as it is. So that is called as Pashyan apina pashyati. Although he's seeing, he is not seeing actually. So seeing is actually through this philosophy only, through this knowledge only. Through knowledge only, we can understand things as they are. Text 29. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi Nai hinasti atmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. 29, please read. Nagnajita Priya Mataji, can you read?
One who sees the supersoul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination. Purport: the living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than in his spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity, living thing, he does not degrade himself by a destructive mentality, and he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to the super soul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding.
Okay, fine. So Prabhupada is saying by accepting this material existence has become situated differently than his spiritual existence. So that's how the person in the knowledge is able to see. Just like sometimes when we go to a mental hospital, we see so many people, they think, I'm the prime minister, I'm the president, I'm this celebrity, that celebrity, and they are actually thinking and they are behaving in that particular fashion. But somebody who's sane, he goes there, he is able to see, these are actually the mad people, they're having some problem like that. Similarly, when Krishna must be seeing this, all of us conditioned souls, we behave based on, I and mine, aham mameti, and we consider things which are temporary to be actually the true. And that's how we consider ourselves with the respect to our post position, etc., our physical body, etc. And that's how it is laughable for Krishna or the one who is actually in knowledge. Aruna Pal Mataji, you have a comment or question? You raise your hand.
Prabhuji, I had a question from the previous verse only. Like
Text number?
28, Prabhuji.
Okay.
The immediate last one. In word-to-word meaning, the meaning of the word Parameshwara is super soul. But as we have read in the purport, here Prabhupada has translated Parameshwara as the master of the body. So I just wanted to reconfirm this word-to-word meaning Parameshwara, the super soul, also means the master of the body, means it refers to the individual soul.
Yes, yes. Correct. So both ways it can be explained as a super soul as well. And Parama Ishvara is different. He's superior to the body and he has some control over the body. Therefore, it is called as Parameshwara. So Parameshwara refers to the individual soul. And as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, some acharyas like Srila Vishnuji Chakravarti Thakur, they explain Parameshwara as to the super soul also. In either way, whenever the body is destroyed, neither the soul nor the super soul is destroyed. That is the point.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So where were we? 29. 29 we just saw. Okay. We'll go to the text number 30. Prakurteva cha karmani kriyamani sarvashah ya pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. So now he's building the case for 13.32. So what is it? 13.30 says, please read the translation. Who has not read so far? Okay, Madhav Harinam Prabhu, please read.
30. One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees.
Okay, so that's your point, right? Also earlier, so you were asking how
Yes.
soul is, whether it's doer or not doer. So we're reading that. So how big is the purport? Yeah, please read the purport.
The body is made by material nature under the direction of super soul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body, with which he has, with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer.
Okay, so what is being described here, that prakrute eva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvasha. Do this verse reminds you of any other verse in Bhagavad Gita? Prakrute kriyamanani
Gune karmani sarvasya.
Yes, so this is
Ahankara
3.27.
vimulatma kartamiti man.
Karte hamiti mannate.
Yes, yes, very good. Thank you. Yes. So this is 3.27. So throughout the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord explains about the Prakriti, the soul, individual soul, and then the super soul or Krishna also. So there are three doers. What are the three doers? The individual soul, the Jiva, Bhagavan or the Paramatma or the Parmeshwar or the Ishvara, and the third one is the Prakriti. So different places, different emphasis is being placed. Okay. So in some points, you will see 3.27. What is the emphasis is being made? Whatever, what is 3.27? Just now, the first line, Prakriti
Kriyamanani gunash.
Gunek Sarvani Sarvasha, right? So everything is done by the three modes. There it is said. The emphasis is on the three modes. Correct? But Ahankara Vimudhatma, somebody is bewildered by the false ego, by the false identity. He will think that Kartaram iti mandita, I'm only doing, I am the one who should get all the credit. Correct? That is the general disposition of everyone, all the conditioned souls. So they think themselves as a karta, doer. Actually, the whole Bhagavad Gita is to drive a point that we are not the doers. We are just the instruments. If we can become instruments in the hands of God, and rather than doing our will, we have to execute Lord's will. We have to execute Acharya's will. That is what is our actually thing is. But generally, that is not the case. Generally, the bewildered soul, the conditioned souls, they will think themselves as the doer. We cannot do anything on our own. This is the point here. The one who is in the knowledge will see that the soul is not actually doing. It is being executed by the three modes. Three modes are actually in the action here. Now, does that mean we are saying that the soul is not responsible? No. Here the point is not about the responsibility. Here the point is the emphasis, because the discussions of the Prakriti and Purusha, the one who is in the knowledge, he sees that this person is helplessly doing under the influence of, even though whatever his desires are there, those desires cannot be, he is not capable of fulfilling himself. That needs to be executed by somebody else, and that execution part is done by the Prakriti or the material nature or the three modes. Therefore, it is being said that the three modes, just like the three modes or the Prakriti is providing me different varieties of bodies based on my desire. So I'm ultimately responsible, but I am not doing in the sense execution part is done by the Prakriti or the three modes. Just like if I say, oh, I came to temple by taxi. Oh, I came to temple from my home by taxi means what? Taxi has taken you automatically, or you desire, or you book a Ola taxi or whatever, you worked on that application and booked the taxi, then taxi came. Taxi is just an instrument. But because that is things which is carrying you there, we general language, we say, no, taxi carried me to the temple. Or went there by, I went to Mayapur by taxi, I went to Mayapur by train, I went to Mayapur by, or Howrah by, flight, etc. Like that we say. So it's, they are instrumental cause, but that their role is being prominent. That is what, I'm not capable of walking down to the, going on my own there. I need some instrument. So that instrument is the aeroplane or the train or taxi or whatever it is, like that. Actually, it is my desire. I am responsible, whatever I'm desiring, etc. But execution is, I cannot do it myself. Therefore, we say like that. So here the emphasis is on Prakriti. Therefore, the Jnani, the one who is equipped with the knowledge, sees that actually soul cannot do anything. It is all the material body is provided by the Prakriti. Execution of the activity is also provided by the Prakriti. But as far as the responsibility is concerned, it is always lies with the soul. His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu gives an example. Just like sometimes a father, the child is there in the car and the father is also there. And the child, 4 or 5 years child, he says, Papa, I want to drive car today. So the father picks up the child, puts him on his lap where he's sitting behind the wheels. And actually the father only is driving, putting up the accelerator, clutch, etc. and turning. But the child, is also, moving along with, he thinks, I'm only driving. He may be making some noise with the mouth, etc. And he thinks, I'm actually driving. Actually is not capable of driving. Similarly, the soul is not capable of doing anything on its own. All the arrangement is done and then this is done. So like that in Bhagavad Gita, all these three doers, the various their roles and their emphasis is being put so many places. So like that we have to understand. In the 5th chapter, if you read 5.15, etc., there Lord clearly says that I am not responsible. Nadatte kashchit papam na chaiva sukrutam vibhu ajnanena avrutam jnanam tena muhyanti jantava. So jantava means the living entities or the jivas. They are responsible for whatever good, pious or bad activities the jiva is performing. I am not responsible. Somebody say, oh, I murdered because super soul inspired me. No. He says, I don't take responsibility. It is you desire. So I make arrangement according to your desire. I have given you free will and I reluctantly give you permission, but the responsibility or the consequences lies with you. So soul is responsible, but is not capable of doing, just like that child. That is the point here. And to facilitate his completion of desires, Lord has made the arrangement of the three modes of the material nature, and that's how it is being executed like that. That's the point here. Okay. Next, I hope this is clear. And one who has such a vision is an actual seer. That's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here in the text 30. And now, yada bhuta pratak bhavam ekastham anupashyati tata evacha vistaram brahma sampadyate tada. Please read 31. Aruna Mataji, please read text 31. Translation.
Yes, Ravi. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception.
Please read the purport also.
When one can see that the various bodies of living entities arise due to the different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. In the material conception of life, we find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with the material nature, gets different types of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big, low, etc., one becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse.
Okay, that's very important. So this is the vision of the Jnani or one who's equipped with the knowledge, and he does not identify or sees with respect to the external bodies, good body, bad body, high species, lower species, etc. He is actually the seeing this jiva who's actually the soul on the spiritual platform. That particular person attains the spiritual platform, or he attains to the he is the Jnani, like that it is being said. This is a similar verse in 5.18. Vidya Vinay Sampanne. Yes, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Shuni Chaiva Shupake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. That means all these, one who is a humble, the Brahmana, Vidya Vinay Sampanne, Brahmane, Gavi Hastini. Gavi means the cow, Hastini is the elephant. Shuni Cha Eva Shupake Cha. Shuni means the dog. and Shopake, one who's a dog eater, Chandala. All these 5 categories, they are different, right? But his is equal vision, because he does not see them with respect to their external bodies. He sees them with, in relation to the soul or the super soul. Or the same spirit soul is there in all of these varieties of bodies. That's how he sees. And that is actually the not material vision, but spiritual vision, like that. So, next verse, text 32. Anaditvat nirgunatvat paramatmayam avyaya sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Please read. Prasanna Gopal Prabhu, please read.
Those with the vision of eternity can see that the imperishable soul is transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, or Arjuna, the soul neither does anything nor is entangled.
Okay. So our Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan, gives the translation like this. I'll just read. Though situated in the body, as well as being without beginning, the Atma is without destruction. Anaditvat. Again, this word is coming repeatedly. Anadi. Anadi means without any beginning. Anadi, eternal. What is that next? Anaditvat. Nirgunatvat. Nirgunatvat means he is actually beyond the 3 modes. He is actually transcendental. Paramatma. Again, this Paramatma means here it is again. It's talked about the soul, which is transcendental, like that. Avyayam means he's never get destroyed. Is it eternal? Sharirasthopi kaunteya. Although he's situated in the sharira, in the material body, na karoti na lipete, means he's not the doer actually. He is neither does anything nor is entangled. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan says, because the Atma is beyond the gunas, he is not the agent of action, means he is not the doer, nor is he contaminated. So if we understand, if you take this word rather than entangled, if you take contaminated, he is not contaminated. The soul always remains transcendental to the material nature or to the 3 modes. Then, maybe this is be little easy for us to understand. Anaditvat, Prabhupada writes, a living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body. But actually, the living entity is eternal. He is not born. We saw this so many times, right? Na jayate mriyate. Srila Prabhupada also gives the analogy of the Tandul Vrishchik Nyaya. Tandul Vrishchik Nyaya means sometimes from the rice that Scorpio is born, right? Prabhupada mentions. So it is not that the Scorpio is born out of the rice. The mother Scorpio, maybe she has laid her eggs there, and that is, from that, those eggs, the Scorpio, that little insect is coming out. But somebody who's seeing, he may think, oh, the Scorpio is born out of the rice, like that, or is born like that. So it is not that, we may see, we have a material body, somebody is born with a material body. It's not that the soul is born, it is actually eternal. Nirgunatvat avyam, in spite of being situated in the material body, is transcendental and eternal. Thus he cannot be destroyed. Sharirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyati. By nature is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities. Therefore, the activities performed due to his contact with the material bodies do not contaminate him. Here it is, do not entangle him. You can read it as do not contaminate him. Okay. So, na karoti na lipyate. Na karoti means he is not the doer and he is not contaminated, like that. So somebody may say, let's say somebody is performing an activity, he has a desire, and based on that desire, he performs a activity. Okay. So the question is, who's performing that activity? Na karoti. Let's say I like rasgulla, I like to eat rasgulla, or I like paneer, if I say. So who is the soul liking paneer? How will you answer this question? When I say I like rasgulla or I like paneer, who's liking paneer? Please tell me.
Desires of soul.
Desire of the soul. Okay. So that means the soul is liking paneer, is it not?
It is it is the interaction between the senses and the sense objects, and it is nothing to do with the soul.
Well, my question, yes, you're right. But my question is, who, when I say I like paneer, who's liking paneer?
It is the senses.
Senses. Okay, senses liking the paneer.
The five, like working senses, those are with the sense objects. Those gives satisfaction to the mind, subtle senses.
So the senses are liking paneer. Okay. So senses, can they think on themselves or they can desire on themselves? Pranamata, you have something to comment or question?
I have question also, and regarding this Rasgulla question, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa, first the mind contemplate of the object, and then
Okay.
all the consequences happen.
So who likes the Rasgulla? Please tell me.
The desire arises in the mind, that impulse is given to the senses. First, the Rasgulla is being seen, that after seeing the Rasgulla, that desire is arise in the mind, and then the senses work up more consequences.
Agreed. Everything agreed. The mechanism is very nice. But who is liking the Rasgulla? Is the senses liking the Rasgulla? Is the mind liking the Rasgulla? Is the soul desiring to eat Rasgulla? Who is desiring? Yes, somebody raised the hand earlier also. Okay, yes, Yamuna Vilas Prabhu.
So, Proja, I was telling mind only, like the likes and dislike is arising from the mind. Yeah.
Okay, mind. So soul is not responsible. Mind is responsible. Senses are responsible. Madhav Harinam Prabhu.
Well, here, this desire, of course, it comes in mind because of this interaction with the sense object. But still, soul has to sanction, and then whatever enjoyment is there, then soul enjoys that. So soul just enjoy by seeing or sanctioning, but everything is done by the mind and the sense object. But still, he is enjoying. I think soul is enjoying.
No, my question is very specific. When I say I like Rasgulla, who is liking Rasgulla? Is the mind, is the senses, or the soul?
Of course, desires come from mind.
Also, you're saying mind is independently desiring and he likes the Rasgulla. Okay. Arun Jaiswal Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Mind is liking the Rasgulla.
Can the mind like Rasgulla on its own independently? Why you're blame it on the mind, blame it on the senses? Oh, I'm free. I'm not implicated. Oh, my mind only killed that person. My senses only
soul,
killed that person. Please.
now the soul is identifying with the body, but through the agent of mind only it is because mind is a storehouse of experiences. So using those experiences, now mind is telling that you can enjoy, but the soul is sanctioning because he is like entangled. He is considering himself body, so he is entangled into asat, temporary, instead of permanent sat, eternal.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
I try one more. So, soul under the influence of material modes.
Soul under the influence of material
modes. Like this liking or all, he's desiring. But soul is pure, but because of material influence, he is desiring.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Yes, these all answers are correct. So at the same point, so soul is actually transcendental. Soul has, completely spiritual thing. It has nothing to do with whether it is paneer or it is rasgulla or veg or non-veg, etc. It is the identification, because the soul now is identifying with this material body, this gross body, this subtle body. Therefore, now it is thinking, although the mind is liking, but the mind cannot work on its own, because without the presence of the soul, either the gross body or the subtle body, they cannot actually work. It's only because of the soul they can work. But It is the presence of the soul which enlivens them, but now the soul also identifies himself with that particular body, gross or subtle. And therefore, we generally say, I like. I like means I am the one soul, but now I'm identifying with my mind and my body. Therefore, whatever my mind likes, whatever with the influence of the three modes, I've accustomed whatever past desires, experiences I have, I want to repeat that because of my identification with them. Actually, soul, nothing is happening to the soul, whether it is sukha, dukkha, everything. But because of our identification, strong identification, we say that, I like, or, we are distressed, we are happy, this and that. So therefore, this is the very important point here. Na karoti na lipyate means actually he is not the doer. He is actually not the one who gets entangled. It is always transcendental. But now the situation is that because he's identifying with all these things, he is actually saying like this. So this prakriti, whether it is the gross body or the subtle body, etc., it is an unconscious element. They cannot, consciously think or desire, etc. It is desired by soul only, which is now identifying with the matter, like that. So when we say, earlier also we gave example of the taxi, right? Somebody says, the man is he was carrying the gun in his hand, or we say the hand was carrying the gun. So hand was carrying the gun means, can the hand independently carry the gun? No, the hand is not carrying the gun. We generally say like that, but actually that person was desiring, because of that identification, because of whatever his desires, he's carrying that gun. So we say that that hand is carrying. The responsibility lies with that person only. But we have to emphasize the role of that particular hand. So we say that the hand was carrying the gun, or I went there by taxi, I went there by train, etc., like that. So similarly, the soul is completely aloof from all these things, but because of his identification, this is being said. So the one who is actually in the knowledge, he will not see this way. He will see that the soul is still transcendental, but because of his entanglement with the prakriti, because of his identification with the gross and subtle body, he is, he's performing whatever he's performing, but actually he's transcendental to all of these. Na lipite means it is not contaminated. And to explain this point, the analogies are being given in the next two verses, 33 and 34. Yatha sarvagatam saukshmyat akasham nopi lipate sarvatha avasthito dehe tathatmana nopi lipate. So the sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul is situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with body, though situated in that body. And then Prabhupada, instead of Akash means not the clouds, it is the space. Whatever maybe, there may be mud or this good object or bad object smelling, but actually the space does not become entangled or contaminated, correct? So Prabhupada gives the purport. The air enters into water, mud, stool, whatever is there, still it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in the varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to its subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with the body and how is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain this. So the whole thing is going on because of the identification. This is one analogy of the Akash, and or Prabhupada gives in the purport about the air. And the second analogy is about Yatha Prakashayatyeka Krishnam Lokam Imam Ravi Kshetra Kshetri Tha Krishnam Prakashayati Bharata. So, O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all the universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminates the entire body by its consciousness. So, Prabhupada mentions these varieties, various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. Just like the sun is there in the sky, all the entire Brahmanda is illuminated. Similarly, the soul is in the body, the entire body from top to bottom, it gets consciousness means thinking, feeling, and willing is there. If you pull the hair on the head, or if we pull the nail on the our feet, we will have the pain. That is because of the presence of the soul. If the soul is away, and the medical practitioners, they cut the body, they do this and that, nothing will happen to the body because the soul is gone. There's no consciousness, no pain will be experienced by that body. So as the sun is situated in one place but illuminates the whole universe, so a small particle of the spirit soul, although situated in the heart of his body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. And he goes on to say, describe how consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul. This we explain in the device, right? What are the pointers to the presence of the soul, whether it is reincarnation, whether it is a consciousness, whether it is thinking, feeling, and willing, etc. And lastly, Prabhupada writes about the difference between the conscious jiva and the Lord. He again hammers this point. The consciousness of the living entity, although qualitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of the one particular body does not share that of another body. We discussed this in the second verse, right? Third verse, I think so. Kshetrajnamapi chamam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Individual soul is only aware of this individual body, but the super soul is aware of all the bodies. Sometimes some philosophers, they will misguide the people, our bodies are individual, our minds are also individual, but our consciousness is universal. Like that they will say, oh, so our consciousness is one, universal, everything is one, like that. No, our consciousness is not universal. Our consciousness is also individual only. We are not aware of what is happening in others' mind, others' body, etc. like that. So again and again, this point is being emphasized by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, difference between the Lord and the super soul and the soul. Okay. But the super soul, which is situated in all the bodies as friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all the bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. And the last word, we'll just take 1 or 2 minutes and stop. So this is the conclusion of the chapter now. This is the one verse summary of the entire chapter. And Srila Prabhupada also, as a good teacher, he will also again summarize whatever we have discussed so far. Kshetra kshetriniyor evam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakrutim moksham cha ye viduryanti te param. So those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from the bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. This is why everything has been explained in this particular chapter. So 3 devotees, they can please read the 3 paragraphs. So can you read, Prerna Mataji, the first paragraph?
Yes, Prabhuji. The purport of this 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, and the super soul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verse 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination.
Okay, next, Aruna Mataji, can you please read next paragraph?
Yes, Prabhuji. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his students to get free from the material conception of life. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations.
Okay, fine. Last paragraph. Arun Prabhu, can you please read the last paragraph?
Yes, Prabhuji. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interaction of these features. But over and above this, there is the soul, and there is also the super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of the soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature, the enjoyer, and consciousness.
Thank you very much. So at last we came to end of this chapter number 13. It's very, very philosophical, many different angles. The Kshetra, Kshetrajna and Prakriti, they have been described. Any questions or any comments? Anything you are
Yes,
not clear? Yes,
Prabhuji, I have one question.
yes, please.
In text 32, it is stated that the soul neither does anything nor it is entangled, right?
Yes, yes.
So we say that this human life is meant for purification. So if the soul is not entangled in anything, what we are going to purify?
So your question again is the same question. If soul does not get entangled, then who gets entangled? Is that what you're asking?
No, then what we are purifying? We say na, that this human life is meant for purification. The soul is above all these three things. Then what we are purifying?
Okay,
Our
okay.
mind? What?
I got your question. So we have to purify this enjoying mentality. We have to purify this mentality of identifying with the body, either the gross body or the material body. Although we are talking so much about the soul, super soul, do we have any realization at this moment? We are just theoretically discussing, is it not? Yes.
Yes.
So we have to realize that. And to realize that, we have to go through this entire process of acquiring knowledge, serving spiritual master, serving devotees, serving deities, doing devotional service, and purify the enjoying propensity. Bhungte prakriti jan guna means the soul is here identifying with the gross and material body, is enjoying. Whatever I like, I am doing. I have made my mind as my spiritual master, as my guru, and whatever my mind says, I'm doing now, right? There is no submission, no humility, no good qualities, nothing. So it continues, then it continues. I'm misusing my free will. So therefore, that mentality of being enjoying, being the master, being the exploiter, being the Purusha, that has to be purified. And I am just the instrument in the hands of my spiritual master, in the hands of our Samsthapak Srila Prabhupada and the Lord. That platform we have to come. I am the servant of everyone. Although we say das, dasanudas, right? It's a very long way to go. Correct? So that we have to come to that real ego, our position as the Jivara Surupahar Krishna Nityadas. Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Aruna Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have, like theoretically, I have understood, but acceptance has not come. That how, like you gave various examples, like if somebody likes rasgulla, it's not that soul that likes the rasgulla. It's because it identifies with the mind and senses. That is why it likes. So, Prabhuji, different jivas and different people we see have different tastes. Like somebody likes sweets, somebody do not. And similarly, in last you said when the soul has left the body, you cut the body, it doesn't feel pain. So what I have understood is the blood is coming out, even if you cut the body, the blood may come out, it may feel pain, but the jiva is not inside the body to feel the pain. So is it correct that the way I have understood it?
So what is your understanding? I mean, I didn't get your question very clearly. What is your question precisely?
Actually, the question itself is little confusing for myself also. I am still not able to accept that the soul doesn't like anything. I mean, it doesn't like any food item. I- Even if it identifies with the senses of the mind, but how is it possible like soul doesn't like it? Because it's ultimately soul who desires to come to this material world and then tries to enjoy using his senses, the various sense objects. So how is it not involved?
Okay, I will give little different example. You know, the hog's example you take. Hog likes the stool. So let's say this is very graphic now. Can the soul like the stool? Okay, you may have difficulty in understanding. I like the rasgulla or like the paneer, right? But what about the soul which is in the hog's body? When we say hog likes to eat the stool, so is the soul which is transcendental, part and parcel of God, right? Which is Satchit and Ananda. How can he likes the stool? Indra, when he was cursed, he became a hog. He has forgotten. And then the Brahmadev has to come and tell him, Baba, you are Indra Dev. He says, no, I'm happy here, enjoying. I have my wife, I have my children's piglets, right? And they're very, very cute. I don't want to leave this. So he has to cut him like that and take him back to his position of, king of the heaven. So the point is, because of his identification with this body, identifies with this gross and subtle body. Gross body means all these 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And subtle means our false ego, our intelligence, and our mind. So this is a very, very, to identify, to say that I am not the gross body is one thing, but to understand that I am not this mind subtle also is even more difficult for us. Because whatever we generally tend to do, whatever I like, whatever I don't like, I try to avoid it, right? Whatever good experiences I had earlier, I try to repeat. Whatever bad I had, I try to give them away, like that, stay away from them. So that's because of our identification mind. Now, why somebody like Srila Prabhupada at the age of 70, is having so many hardships and is going? Why? Because he's not on the material platform. Although he's having so many setbacks, because he's completely on the spiritual platform, he's trying to fulfill the spiritual master's desire and obey him, fulfill his instructions. He is completely different. So therefore, at least by theoretical understanding, by attaching to them, if we do, then slowly going further, good or bad situation, we will be able to transcend and do what is being asked to us or what is on the spiritual platform. Otherwise, we will so many examples we can see that, we identify with our near and dear ones, our own body. Anything happens to our body, little bit also is some injury, something happens, we are so disturbed, is it not? We are so disturbed because of that only. Although we are transcendental, this and that, we may know theoretically, but we have not yet realized it. So therefore, we have this particular pain and pleasure. Whatever gives pleasure to the body, I like to do it. Whatever is giving some harm, injury, I want to avoid it, like that. I feel pain because we are on this material platform only. So this is a long journey we have started now, and we have to take it very, very seriously. Then slowly it will. Now you can also see, even whatever number of years we have spent in Krishna consciousness, what was our position before coming to Krishna consciousness? What we used to like it earlier, now some of them we have given up, right? Some gross things at least we have given up, right? So it is not that we have not made any progress, but still it is not so easy to realize the soul, etc. We still have to continue with determination. Then we will have this realization that, we are transcendental. We will go away. We will not identify with the gross body or the subtle body. So this is the whole process of Krishna consciousness, and that is what we have to achieve, like that. Right now it is difficult, I understand. It is for you, for me, for most of us, it will be difficult.
And Prabhuji, there is one more question, referring to the last part of the translation of 32 verse, which Prerna Mataji also referred to. The soul neither does anything nor is entangled. Then, Prabhuji, how do we get entangled by the karmas? Like, if it's basically the jiva who has to take birth again to reap the benefit. Pap and punya, you can say. So if soul is not entangled, then how
So
do
therefore,
we
I
get
said, like Baldev Vidyabhushan and our acharyas, they write, it is not contaminated. If you replace entanglement to contamination, it is little easy for us. The soul always remain pure, although it is in the hog's body, the body is eating stool or whatever, or it is in the body of the devata and it is enjoying nice food items. Still, the soul is not connected with that. Soul is not actually getting contaminated or anything. It is transcendental to all this matter. Soul has nothing to do with matter, whether it is stool or it is the most delicious food item also. It is not the food for the soul. It is the food for our gross body, and liking means to our subtle body, to the mind. But soul is transcendental. That's why we'll see these Acharya 6 Goswamis once in a 3 days. How can Raghunath Das Goswami, we need to eat at least 3-4 times in a day. In 3 days, he used to take little chance. Why? Because he's not on that platform. He's on totally different platform. Like that. Srila Prabhupada, I heard once Srila Prabhupada was in the US and he was there in the hospital, and the anesthesia doctor, he was trying to give him anesthesia, nothing was happening. Then he said, your spiritual master, your Swamiji, nothing is working on him. So then the disciple spoke to Swamiji, said, this is what they are saying. Prabhupada said, okay, you want me to fall unconscious? Then okay, fine. Immediately next time he gave dose, he was unconscious, like that. So that's a different platform, right? But that is not our case. Therefore, the soul only is entangled, but this is the vision of the Jnani, one who's equipped with the knowledge. He's seeing, oh, no. That individual soul is going through karma, he's reaping the punya and papa, etc. That is correct. But even after that, the soul remains transcendental. And this is the vision of the Jnani. This is the vision of one who's equipped with the understanding of the soul, individual soul, super soul, and the Prakriti. That is the point. So that's a vision of a person that is being described. So he is not saying the soul is getting entangled or contaminated. It is still transcendental only, like that.
Then, Prabhuji, who gets entangled if I ask in your language?
No, soul does not get entangled. Soul does not get contaminated. So if you hear, that's why I'm saying again repeatedly, when the hog is eating stool, is the soul getting contaminated? Ask yourself. Is the soul losing its quality of Sat, Chit and Ananda? Yes or no?
No, Prabhuji.
That's the answer of your question. That is the answer of your question. Soul is not contaminated. It still remains transcendental. It still remains pure. The soul remains pure. Although now it appears to be encaged in the body, it is pure only. It will never lose its quality of godly quality of Sat, Chit and Ananda. That is the point.
Prabhuji, regarding the nature of the soul, it's fine that it doesn't get contaminated, but it does get entangled into the law of karmas. Now that is why we have to take birth again and again. What is the reason for that then?
No. The soul is getting entangled. Soul is only reaping the fruits, is getting different bodies. But one who is actually Jnani, one who has the vision, that vision is described in the last section. So he's saying, oh, like Prabhupada mentions, oh, this person is having dog's body, this person is having Brahmana's body. Because his Brahmana is the soul, is actually utilized, he has not misused his free will, he has got a Brahmana's body, but the dog's body, that soul in the dog's body, he has misused his free will, therefore now he's got a dog's body. That's how that sees. That's how that person, he sees whether the soul is in the dog's body, dog eater's body, elephant's body, Brahmana's body. It is actually the same. It is transcendental only. It is not contaminated. It is transcendental only. That is the vision of the Pandita, like that.
Okay, so
5.8.
Okay, so I mean, can we say that it's the contaminated consciousness that has the
No. See, please try to distinguish these two things. One who is entangled, the person who is reaping the papa and punya, that one person is there. And another person who is on the spiritual platform, correct? Let's say take a pure devotee. How he sees that person? He sees even that person is suffering or enjoying or whatever is happening, hog's body, dog's body. That soul is pure only. That is the vision of that particular person. That way you understand. Is it clear now? It is the vision of that person on the spiritual platform. That is the way you understand this verse. Rather than that particular person himself. He is not contaminated. The soul remains pure. That is the vision of that particular Jnani. Okay, maybe I think we can discuss it separately if you still have any questions. Anything else you have?
No, Prabhuji, the verses are also clear, Prabhuji. There is no question regarding the verses also, but maybe it's just a general concept which I'm not able to grasp.
Okay. So you imagine Srila Prabhupada. You imagine Srila Prabhupada, okay? Srila Prabhupada is looking at a dog, and Srila Prabhupada is looking at another pure devotee or another, let's say Brahmana. How Srila Prabhupada will see? Srila Prabhupada will not see, this is whether the soul in both the bodies is contaminated or pure. It is pure only.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a vision of a particular person who is situated on the spiritual platform and not on material platform. His vision is being described. It's not about that individual soul is getting entangled like that.
Okay, Prabhuji. I think, Prabhuji, the question is different. I am still saying, I don't have problem in seeing somebody at a soul. I'm not problem as in, yes, I am not capable of seeing everybody at a soul level. I understand this thing. So my question is, what I'm not able to understand is, when it is said that soul doesn't get entangled, means what if
Is
I do?
what? This is the vision of the person on the spiritual platform. Please understand first thing. This is not about the soul is entangled or not contaminated. Please understand, this is a vision of whom? In the last section, after explaining Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Jneyam, Prakriti, Purusha, now this is the vision of persons situated on purely spiritual platform. How he's seeing things, how he distinguishes between the Prakriti, Purusha, soul, super soul, and the Prakriti, how the gross body, subtle body, and the individual soul, how he distinguishes between these three very clearly, that person's vision is being described.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'll try to come up with anything more. I will next class I will open up this if there's anything more, or we can talk separately also out of this meeting. Yes, Arun Prabhu, you had a question or comment?
I had a question.
Yes.
In Bhagavad Gita 13.23, we're discussing about Anumanta, that is the permitter. Krishna gives permission, but you gave the analogy that how
Reluctant.
how parents give reluctant permission or give permission reluctantly. So my question is, the person who is committing the crime, or if a person is trying to kill someone, so he is reluctant in killing. So Krishna is giving permission reluctantly that you kill. But then how is he deciding that
No,
whom to kill?
wait a second. You said the person is reluctantly killing?
No, person wants to kill, he desires to kill, and Krishna is giving permission reluctantly. But the person who is getting killed, or the one who is suffering, is he the effect of just karma, or because he does not want to get suffered, or he does not want to get killed? Then from the killer point of view, we can say that okay, Krishna has given permission reluctantly. But then the one who is getting killed, how can you understand that it is the effect of just karma or something else also?
That we can never understand. How can we understand about that? What is happening between two individuals. Therefore, Lord says, karmanya bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati. So 4.17, if you read, what is happening, whether he is misusing his free will and now committing a new karma, or whether it is a past effect of somebody's karma, that is not for us to understand. We cannot understand, we'll never understand. Forget about others' life, even our own life, whatever is happening, we will not be able to understand because of what, in which lifetime, which earlier time, what I did, because of which I am getting. It is very difficult. But those who are pure devotees, how they see it is my own karma. That famous verse we recited from the Brahmaji's prayers, 10th chapter, 10th canto, 10, 14 or 13, that verse is there. They say it is sopakam. Sopakam means it's my own karma only, but Lord is so merciful, he's giving me only token, like that. Prabhupada, somebody was cutting the vegetables and he had a cut on the finger because of the knife. He said to Swamiji, I am doing devotional service, serving Krishna. Why there is a cut? Prabhupada said, by your karma, your whole finger was supposed to cut. Because it is Krishna's mercy, you are just having a small cut there now. So you read Dukheshu Anidhyudhamana Sukheshu Vigadaspraha, the characteristics of the last section of the second chapter, Sitadhir Muni Ruchyate, Sita Prajnasya Ka Bhasha. That section, if you read 2.54 onwards, then one who is situated on that spiritual platform, he does not get elated when something good happens in life, and does not get depressed when something bad happens in life. Why? Because if anything happening bad in my life, it is Lord Krishna's mercy. More bad was supposed to happen. He's giving me a token punishment, and something good is happening. I don't deserve it. It is Krishna's mercy. These good things are happening in my life. It is not because of my own achievements. That's how he sees. So there's a difference between the perception. But what is happening to the person getting murdered? It is because the murderers or criminals misuse of free will, or it is previous karma. It's not for us to analyze it. We cannot never come to a conclusion. General principles, guidelines are given about the karma, and that's the way I understand. Yes, maybe because something in the past, now it is fulfilling, getting fulfilled.
Like as you were saying that what is it the business of Krishna to enter into karma if everything is happening through karma only? So can you understand that while giving permission, he is seeing the things. While giving permission, he is giving reluctantly. But then the karma has also its effects when Krishna is giving permission and things are happening with mutual coordination, something like that.
So now see, the free will is a very, comes into role also here. Free will, is it not? Free will. Misuse of the free will, that is also there. Na? Karma is there, and why you're discarding the misuse of the free will also? That is also there, is it not? Or free will not there? If everything is happening, only karma, is just like we are mechanically everything is happening, right? So if you have no free will to come out of that, then what is need of studying Bhakti Shastri and purports and Bhagavad Gita and all these things? We will have everything happen by karma. So that karmavad and daivavad, they are two things extremes. But our Vaishnava philosophy says we have to also endeavor, use our free will, and then Lord will also give us the mercy. So both things are there. Free will is there, karma is there, and Lord's mercy is also there. So more we take to devotional life, Krishna will personally take interest in our life, and he will arrange things in our life so that we will progress on the path of spiritual self-realization. That is also there. For the non-devotees, he will never interfere. It may be our their misuse of free will, or it can be karma purely. But when you in life of pure devotees, it is everything is orchestrated by Krishna only. Whether it is Parikshit Maharaj, Arjuna, so many examples we saw earlier, right? Narad Muni, Vidurji, etc. But whereas for us, we are neither pure devotees, nor we are pure atheists, right? We are in between now, sadhakas. So it is combination of everything: free will, misuse, Krishna's mercy, everything. Token punishment, token rewards, everything.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yes, thank you very much. I don't think so anybody has any more questions or comments now. So we'll stop here. Granth Raha Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai. Prasid Gaur Ki jai. Nitai Gaur Dimanandi. Hari Hari.